Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Unsung Heroes of the Cloud. I'm here with Mike Martin and Nills, two world-class cloud solution architects who are here to tell you some things about Azure that you might not have been aware of, but you'll be so glad you know about. These are hidden gems that you will probably wind up using every day. And with that, I'll turn it over to you guys.
World class. Well, thank you, Matt, for that. I mean, we're both two down to normal guys from Belgium, I think. So how world class can you be?
Mike, you could say we're world class because we are a worlds away from each other.
That's true. That's true. And still missing you, buddy. I still cannot believe it that it's almost like, what, 3 years, 4 years now that you're living in the United States?
I've been here 3 years now, and it's been about a year and a half since I last seen you in person.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to, I mean, we keep contact like any kind of media that we have, but in person would be nice to see each other again. Yeah,
well,
just to catch up on shoes and all these things.
If you think about it reasonably, we still talk every day.
True. Exactly. There's way too much gossiping gibberish going on different media channels. Things we better not tell the world.
No, I agree with you. Let's just keep that between the two of us.
Under the radar, yeah, totally. So, Nils, what do you got for us today, man? Which unsung hero will we cover today?
Well, I think we actually have an unsung superhero today, because it's one hero that for some people might be considered a little bit like an anti-hero, but I think it's a wonderful thing to discuss, and it's actually the Azure Portal.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it, the portal is how most people get started with using Azure. And the portal is something that evolved over time, and there is so much goodness in there that I just wanted to show to our audience today and just show you some of the cool things that you can do using the Azure portal.
Oh, yeah. I think Leon will be very happy. Leon Welike is the PM for the portal, and he's been a supporter of this wonderful, nice Ibiza portal since we had it. So yeah, this is awesome. I like this topic. Bring it, man. Bring it.
Yes. So I think the first thing that I wanted to share about the Azure portal is that the Azure portal is a view on everything you have access to in Azure. Once you get access to a certain resource in a certain subscription, you can see all of them just through the Azure portal, and it allows you to see resources in different regions, in different subscriptions, all from a single view. And if I just want to show you some of the things that are possible, let me open up the portal menu and go to all resources. And if we're here under the all resources view, this literally shows you all resources. And as you can see here, right now, I have access to 172 resources, which are just in my subscription, which I aptly call my cloud scale data center. But I have access to different subscriptions, and I can view the resources in those different subscriptions as well. So if I just
makes it very manageable, right? Because elsewhere it would be unoverseeable. Yeah.
Yes, it makes it super manageable. But as you get access to multiple different subscriptions, it does help you to still be able to see everything through a single pane of glass. If you imagine an enterprise with a hub and spoke networking topology, you could just go into the networking view. Let's say we go to virtual networks right here in the menu. You could see all your networks in all of your subscriptions and even see the different peered networks all from a single pane of glass, which in my opinion is super neat.
Yeah, indeed. Very oversightful.
Yes. What I do want to show our audience is, as you might have noticed, when I opened the portal initially, it just filtered on my own subscription. And you can configure your default subscription in Azure. And that's through this little button right here that says directory and subscription, where you can define your default subscription filter. So that if, and I've seen this with customers where the Azure portal always opens in a subscription that they don't want to be their default subscription, just go into this view, change your default subscription, and that way you can just get the right view at the right point in time when you need to log in.
Yeah, that's very useful, because I mean, I can imagine, and you have the same issue. I have so many directories and so many subscriptions that I'm part of that
Yeah.
it becomes very, where am I going with this? And yeah, that's very annoying. So this is really, really useful for this filtering. It took a long time before they actually put that in there, but it's really, really cool now it's there.
Yes, it is. It is cool that it's finally there. And talking about the default subscription filter, I did want to also share that the Azure portal itself is super customizable. There are so many things you can tweak and do, and you might have noticed that in my view, I hide the left side menu, like the menu underneath the hamburger icon. You see, for me, that is a pop-out. That is one of the things that in the settings icon that you see right here, that you can tune. And if you prefer, you can have that be docked. You can have that be fly out, like I prefer it, just to have that little bit extra screen real estate. But if you prefer it docked, you can have it docked. You can switch teams. And one theme that I have seen frequently used by some customers is actually the high contrast theme, which helps you get a little bit better of a view on your resources and pops things out just a little bit differently, which I did want to show you as well. I just prefer the blue theme, works better for me, but whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, it's good for usability also, because high contrast is always for people that have narrow eyesight or a little bit of issues with coloring. This is really, really useful, and I really like it that they actually put something in there that makes accessibility even better.
Yeah, exactly. And then a final thing for some people that might be useful is configuring your language. For people for who English is not their native language, the portal can be translated in a ton of different languages. I personally prefer to have it in English, although it's not my native language. But if you prefer, you can have the portal be in any of the languages you can see here in the drop-down menu.
Yeah, I still cannot get used to my own language for any kind of Microsoft product or whatever IT product for that matter, to be honest.
I am totally with you there, Mike. And since we're talking about customization a little bit, I also wanted to show you the Cloud Shell. And I don't want to go too much in depth into Cloud Shell because it deserves an episode of its own. But Cloud Shell is something super powerful. It's either a Bash shell, which gives you access to the Azure CLI, or a PowerShell environment straight from your browser that gets you access to all of your Azure resources using your credentials that you're logged into through the portal. So no need to do an additional login. And it just shows you all of the resources you have access to. You have a persistent file system as well. So as you see in my case, for instance, I've got a couple of files that are stored here. Those files are stored on Azure File Share and persisted. If I exit my session and open a new one, all of my files are still there. Cloud Shell is just phenomenal, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much things that you can do with Cloud Shell, and as you say, maybe we should sacrifice an episode on. It's not sacrifice; it's dedicate an episode to Cloud Shell because there's a lot of things that we can do in there. Yeah, totally agree there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think the final thing that I wanted to show you in the portal, and certainly when we're talking about customizations, is the ability to build dashboards. And let me maybe show you the first one first, because this one is a small little dashboard just to show you what's possible. But as you see here, there's a couple of things that I built here in this dashboard. The first thing, and maybe the most important thing, is just a link to our latest video, Mike, because I think everybody should have that on their dashboards. Don't you agree?
Yeah, totally. So that way they can see every episode each week with a refresh. That would be cool. Yeah, very nice. Nice touch.
Yes, but maybe a little bit more to the point. In the dashboards, there's a couple of things you can do. The element that you're seeing here, which I am highlighting here, this is an HTML and Markdown element where you can insert any custom text. You can add images, like you see this little portal icon. You can add those. You can add links. There's just so much you can do with this Markdown. As you, for instance, build a dashboard for your SRE teams and you want to guide them through how the application is set up, maybe share an application architecture, all of that could be put into a dashboard just using this Markdown element.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you see, in my case, I'm just doing inline editing, but you could also insert a Markdown from an external URL, which makes it even more powerful because you can just include Markdown from an external source and put that right into your dashboard in the Azure portal.
So actually, you could CI/CD your dashboard too nowadays, right?
Yes, you can CI/CD your dashboard, and not only this Markdown content, but the dashboards itself are, I believe it's just a JSON object as well, which you can edit. And as you're maybe building complicated dashboards with a couple of different elements, and I'll show you the building experience in just a second here, you can just create the JSON definition and work on them in code rather than in the graphical editor if you prefer to.
Yeah, that's in the past you needed to inject just a full JSON by doing that. Today we even have, if I'm not mistaken, CLI support for that, for building dashboards and pushing them in. So that's an improvement. Yes. That's cool. That's cool.
And so a couple of other elements that you're seeing here is the first thing here is a resource graph query. And for those who tuned into our first episode, you might remember what the resource graph is. And resource graph is let's say, an optimized way to query resources in Azure rather than using the ARM API. You can use the KQL or Kusto language to get an overview of your resources. And what I'm doing here, and this is what I pinned to my dashboard, was the top 10 resources by resource type, where in my case, my top resource type actually is an automation runbook, which I found pretty interesting to note. But you can build Kusto queries and then update them and pin them to your dashboards, as you can see right here. And then final thing here is like a sort of overview dashboard is just a link to my resource groups. You could include links to individual resources, to resource types. There's so much that's possible here, but you could just open this view, either click on resource groups or click on an individual one, and then be taken to your resource groups to help you in doing your navigation.
Now that seems a lot of work, man. I mean, it's good that we can do that. I mean, and there's a lot of widgets that we can use on dashboards. There's one that I always do is set up a time widget. Really stupid, but every single time I do a conference talk or something, I create but every single time it takes so much time to just create a dashboard. I mean, isn't there a faster way to create dashboards? Can we just not,
Well, you actually can. If you're using application insights in your application, and let me just show you what I'm referring to. So App Insights is a detailed application monitoring tool straight in Azure. And I have one created right here. App Insights comes with a pre-built application dashboard. And as you want to see those dashboards, you can just click on your application dashboards. And after a couple of seconds, this shows you a full dashboard for your application, showing you usage, reliability, responsiveness, and it's a direct dashboard that's pre-built for you. In my case, my applications aren't that popular, so everything is put to 0. But this is a really cool way of getting a direct dashboard of your application. And by default, this is a shared dashboard, as you can see here in the shared dashboard. But if you want to share this with more people, you can control the access control and give even more people access to those dashboards so they can see what you are seeing.
That is pretty cool. That's pretty neat, and it will save me a ton of work when I'm when I'm working with application insights, because everything is on there apparently. That's really, really cool. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for, man. Save me a ton of time.
And so let's say the final thing I wanted to show you about dashboards as you're going about building them and navigating through the portal. And let me maybe just show you another dashboard I had pre-prepared here. So as you're going through the portal, there's multiple different places where you can actually pin resources to a dashboard. So for instance, if I wanted to go to one of my virtual machines I have here, if you're in your resource, you frequently see a pin icon in different blades, and you can just click this pin button, and then this will pin that resource to your dashboards, and you can pick which dashboards it has to ping it to. So I'll just use this one we just were looking at. So I now pinned this resource to the dashboard, and if we go back to the dashboard, you'll see that my resource is linked directly on this dashboard, and I can now work with this button and move it around and do whatever I would want with it.
That's pretty useful. I mean, that way you can just grab whatever you need from any kind of resource or any kind of a resource group or whatever, and just build up your own way of looking at your solutions or your resources. That's indeed the power of this dashboarding thing. I really like that part.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is just what I wanted to share about the Azure Portal. In my opinion, the portal doesn't get nearly as much love as it deserves, because as you've seen here in the 15 minutes we've shown this, it's a really powerful environment that gives you a lot of customizations, shows you all your resources in all subscription, all regions. There's a shell built in. Like, if this isn't an unsung hero, I don't know what is.
I think I can totally agree there. And to be honest, even if we are stating that you should do as much as possible through ARM deployments and through deployments through CLI or management through CLI, I mean, the dashboarding feature is still pretty powerful, because a visualization on the health of your estate is always something necessary, especially if you can have shared dashboards. That's the perfect thing to have a monitoring setup out of the box, right? So that's really, really, really powerful. Okay, cool. Anything else that you would like to add? That you say?
No, I think this is about it what I had for the Azure Portal. The one thing I'd say is I do agree with your statement about doing as much as possible through an automation pipeline, but still, as you're deploying things through an automated pipeline, sometimes you just want that graphical interface, and let the Azure Portal be that graphical interface for you.
Yeah, I totally agree there. That's one of the features that you should embrace, and everything else should indeed go through CI/CD. Totally agree there. Okay, so I think our time is up then for this week.
Yes, I think so.
So I think we'll see each other again in 2 weeks then.
Yes, see you in 2 weeks, Mike. Keep safe. See ya.
Okay, keep safe. Bye-bye.